It's game week, and we're so excited. It's crazy.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks to everybody for making this first listen every single day. You guys are the best. So it's game week. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened yesterday because it was football, kind of. I mean, I enjoyed it. I couldn't believe it, some of the games. And then we're going to talk some high school because I got to see the number one linebacker for 2028 and call his game. And meanwhile, Sadarian Morgan is that dude. So we will be talking about all that in this episode. But Jimmy, right now it's game week. What's your plan this week? What's the primer for getting ready for Florida State for Jimmy Stein, internet legend?
Well, one thing I like to do during game week is sort of dive into the opponent and learn as much as I can about Florida State and what to expect. And boy, what a difficult preparation it is for Alabama's football team. Those changes at Florida State are just massive. It's a good thing you had all summer to work on this a little bit because look what you had to watch. If you're Alabama's defensive staff making a game plan here, you watch last year's Florida State tape because you just kind of have to. You probably don't get much out of that. You have to watch Gus Malzahn's offense at Central Florida to get a better idea of what the offense might look like. But then you also have to watch Tommy Castellanos' film at Boston College to get a really good idea of what the quarterback looks like. And then you have to do a lot of guesswork, like guessing what their offense is going to be, because it won't be what it looked like last year. And it probably won't be exactly what Gus did at Central Florida or what Tommy Castellanos did at Boston College. It's going to be a marriage of Mike Norvell, Gus Malzahn, what Castellanos does well, what he doesn't do well is out. And they got to sort of guess. I think a huge key to this game, Luke, is going to be the defense's ability to adjust, because they're gonna guess what Florida State's offense is going to look like and have a game plan based on that guess. But then you're going to have to adjust when you actually see it in reality. And one word of warning here that hasn't been talked about, but I think is really relevant in my early look at Florida State, their offensive line, which is primarily made up of transfers, it appears that 4 of their starting offensive linemen will be transfers. The entire offensive line at Florida State are fifth-year seniors. The entire offensive line, tackle to tackle. Castellanos is a senior. Roydell Williams, the starting running back, as we know him very well. 6th-year running back Roydell Williams, a senior wide receiver in Squirrel White. This is an extremely old Florida State offense, and playing against more mature kids is more difficult.
Couple of things. First of all, that's a great point about the fifth-year seniors. The good news is a lot of Alabama's guys along the defensive front are older. Now, I mean, some of them, we all want to see Justin Hill, for example, certainly a true freshman. But I think there's a positive and a negative to it. I think the negative, obviously, is, hey, experience can beat experience. And they are clearly more experienced than we are. But the positive for us is that they don't really know a lot about Justin Hill or Yanzi Pierre or some other guys like that who might be coming off the edge a little bit more and playing a little bit more. So they may not be able to be as prepared. The other positive I'd say for us is that while they're all fifth-year seniors, they hadn't necessarily played together. Even Roydell, who was there last year, got injured. And finally, the final positive that I thought, the first thing that I thought about, this is me like looking ahead. Man, they're going to be bringing in a whole new team next year, assuming we still play them, given the new SEC 9-game schedule, which I got to get your opinion on a little bit later.
And
the one other thing,
also this about seniors that you think about is it used to be no one should ever use it as a slur. Like no one should ever say, "Oh, he's a senior." But there is a point to make here about a fifth-year senior. You're talking about 2 draft cycles that have gone by without this kid entering the draft.
Yeah.
So how great can he be if
Yeah.
he's passed up multiple draft cycles and remain in college? So there's something to that too. That's not saying that there aren't any good, really good senior football players. That's crazy. Of course there are. But it is something to keep in mind that, well, they can't be that good or they would have already been playing on Sundays.
No, that's another good point. Except, I guess if I wanted to be devil's advocate, I'd say maybe they would have been drafted, but like mid-round, and
Yeah. Like
Florida State was like, we'll pay you more than that.
Alabama's got a lot of those guys. That's why
Yeah.
there's so much optimism, I think, with Josh Payton, all those people this week predicting Alabama to win the national championship. A lot of that is juiced by the fact that Alabama does have a lot of seniors who have literally passed up the draft to come back because they didn't like where they were in the draft and they wanted to come back because they were a little disappointed in the season. But guys like Tim Keenan, Deontay Lawson, Damani Jackson, these guys are seniors, and as we know at Alabama, they're good players. So don't make too much of, hey, FSU has all these seniors. But I'm just saying that's just one thing to consider about a fifth-year senior is, well, there's been some draft opportunities there.
Yeah, there is something to think about, but in the end, it sort of is what it is. And I'll say this. Let me ask Alabama fans out there who are listening. Would you rather have, and take Jam Miller out because he's injured. Would you rather have Richard Young, Daniel Hill, Kevin Riley, Dre Washington, A.K. Deere kind of combo for this Saturday? Or would you rather have Roydell Williams? And I think it's, even without Jam Miller, I think it's close because I think we know Roydell's limitations. He's a great player. He's a really good player. But if you and I have been talking about how Jam Miller lacks maybe he is not in the upper echelon of the last 15, 20 years of Alabama running backs. Well, Roydell certainly isn't. I would take Jam over Roydell all day. So
I would take Jam over Roydell too. Obviously, we won't be able to compare them both on the same field Saturday with Jam Miller out Florida State game. But Roydell's a good player. And
yeah, I agree.
I think Alabama, in terms of facing Roydell, I would say this season of 12 opponents, half or more will have a better back than Roydell. I would think he's going to be somewhere in the middle of the starting.
Even in the ACC?
Face this year. He's going to be better than, Monroe's guy and Eastern Illinois' guy, and probably better than Wisconsin's guy, or about the same as the Wisconsin guy. And obviously we'll see some great backs in the SEC action, unfortunately.
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were saying Roydell will be around the midway point of the backs we face. I thought you were saying the backs Florida State faces. I get you now.
No, the backs that Alabama will face. If you had to rank, here's the starting running backs we'll face. I think Roydell's probably somewhere in the middle of that group.
That makes sense to me. The other thing that I think is going to get way too much hype this week, and now maybe it won't, but I just see it coming, is that people are going to harp on, Gus Malzahn has Alabama's number. They just do. He just does. How did I screw that up 9 times? But I think that's so overblown. I really do. People can talk about Gus Malzahn. Yeah, Auburn gave Alabama fits. They did. I think there are other reasons for that than just Gus Malzahn. Look, Brian Harsin gave Alabama some fits for that one game they played. So I think that the Gus Malzahn that has Alabama's number thing is going to be overblown, especially when you consider Nick Saban isn't there anymore. Thomas Castellanos, you're absolutely right.
Completely different defense. It's a completely different defense. Kane Womack, there's some similarities with the Saban defense, but overall, I would say it's just different. And Malzahn's success against a crimson-colored jersey doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think it's more schematic. His scheme against Alabama's scheme, and the scheme has radically changed. So I just think it's irrelevant. It's, hey, if somebody out there can find Gus Malzahn versus Kane Womack, I want to see that. Yeah.
No, I'm certainly with you on that. All right. I want to get your take on the 9-game SEC schedule right after I tell these guys about Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready. You want to be Rugiet Ready. We all want to be Rugiet Ready. And it's easy to get ready with Rugiet Ready. Look, you've probably heard of Viagra, Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. It's okay. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time for Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow, and arouse it. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already taken the switch. I love that it's completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. That's pretty awesome. Head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege and use code lockedoncollege to get 15% off today. That's rugiet.com/lockedoncollege, all one word, lockedoncollege, and use promo code lockedoncollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compound drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. But if you want to have a good long weekend, Rugiet Ready, 36 hours. Let's get it. When I did my own little fly by the seat of my pants ending to that live read and you didn't laugh, I felt really creepy by you and by me.
I'm not sure what's an ad lib and what's on the read, so I just sort of leave it alone. Let's leave it alone.
It made us both seem double creepy. Because you were like looking at it.
In other words, situation normal.
Yeah. All right, so sometimes I forget we got a camera on us. Anyway, so 9-game SEC schedule.
Yeah.
I did a little short on it. I went live because you were traveling last week, and I went live and talked about it. And Jimmy, I hope they don't screw us. And if they look. I've seen some comments. People like, Alabama's not scared of anybody. I'm not saying we're scared of anybody. That's not the point. Right. But why do I want to play the NFC East schedule when everybody else is playing Class 3A Region 6? I just don't want to do that.
And I worry the same people that insist that they don't care that Alabama should play the toughest schedule possible. They're going to also be the loudest ones about firing the coach when they finish 8-4.
And Jimmy, we would love, it would make a lot of sense, and we would love it if we really believed that the committee would take into effect, hey, even if LSU's not at their best, even if LSU, people love to go, I'm picking LSU out of the air, but if LSU were, say, finish the season 7 or 5 or something, and they go, Alabama either lost to or barely beat a 7-5 team, LSU isn't so tough, I would say, yeah, but what you don't understand is the SEC is not so tough. In LSU, this hypothetical year still has 10 guys that'll get drafted or 8 guys that'll get drafted in this draft. So it's different than a Purdue team that'll have 1 dude that gets drafted. It's different. And that's what people can't wrap their heads around. Like your Danny Cannells, he just can't get that. Okay, but that's why we don't need him in charge.
This year, maybe, because of Lenore Sellers and other things, this year, maybe South Carolina is better than LSU and better than Texas A&M. Maybe. But who do you want to sign up to who would you rather play over a 10-year period? South Carolina or LSU? Which one do you want to play for 10 years? You want to bet that South Carolina's going to be better than LSU for the next 10 years? That's why you've got to look at a longer cycle to determine who's likely to be good. And the way I look at it is over the last 25 years, and technically it's 26, but over the past 25, 26 years, 8 different teams currently in the SEC have won national titles, 8 of them. I look at those as, okay, those are your best bets to be good often. Teams that have won national titles in the past 25, 26 years. And those teams, there's 8 of them. That includes Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee, which are the most commonly referred to opponents on Alabama. I don't know that anyone else is going to have to play 3 national championship level programs, because that's what they are now. Yeah, but Auburn's not any good right now. To think that Auburn isn't going to be really good again at some point is just being naive and wish casting. Of course, Auburn's going to be really good again at some point.
They're a top 20 program all time.
They're top 20
and so
program
is Tennessee.
Exactly.
So is Tennessee, and so is LSU. So tell me another team that would get 3. And I said top 20. If you want to pick nits, I would say Auburn's a top 18 program all time. I would say Tennessee's probably a top 15, and LSU probably a top 13 to 12. So tell me another team that's going to have to play those 3 every single year.
Yeah,
and
no one's won more national championships in this league other than Alabama, than LSU in the past 25 years. They won it all 3 times. Yeah.
So it's just something I made my case for Mississippi State, and there was a running joke last night on Twitter. Bud Elliott, who I think worked for CBS or On3 or somebody. Anyway, he was talking about, I see Alabama fans talking about this battle for Highway 82. And I guess I've heard of it, but I've heard that, but I think it's stupid because Alabama owns like an 88-18 record against Mississippi State. So 82 is ours. They might have some back road to Tuscaloosa, but 82 is ours.
It's not that it's a rivalry or that it's a rival of Alabama's. It just is an historical matchup that makes a lot of sense to balance out the fact Alabama will be playing Auburn and Tennessee, 2 of the traditional, like Luke said, top 18 programs in history, and 2 programs that have won a national championship in the past 25, 26 years. Auburn's won 1, played for another. Tennessee, it has been since 1998, but we all know that Tennessee is capable of putting together a national elite program. They were in the playoff last year, and let's not get to the point that we diminish that achievement. Making the playoff as an at-large especially is a major achievement, and Tennessee was just in it last year. So don't say
of those 4 teams, including us.
Yeah,
of those 4 teams, including us, Tennessee's the only one that's made the expanded playoffs.
That's right.
It's only a 1-year sample size, but it still holds true. Okay, so like yesterday there was some football, and at first I was thinking, what I did yesterday? I went with my buddy Chris, and we went down to the shirt shop in Tuscaloosa because I'm going to the Florida State game, and I was like, I want to get some new Bama shirts, and I was going to order them online. He was like, let's just go down to the shirt shop. That way we support a Tuscaloosa business. I get to try them on, all that stuff. And it was great. I got to go with my daughter, go to lunch and all this, and got some cool new stuff. I think spent way too much money, but I didn't forget that Farmageddon was on, obviously, but I wasn't I must watch TV. But when I got home and that was on, like in the middle of the first quarter or whatever it was, like Chris and I just sat there and watched it, into the third quarter or whatever it was. And then, he had to go home, and I watched the entire thing, and it was great. It was just fun. And I know it was sloppy. There were a lot of turnovers, and it was weird being in like, it did look like it was in an Irish pasture. The stadium's pretty super, but like the field, you couldn't even see the white.
Yeah, the field wasn't great because of the problems they were having with the white paint.
Yeah, but it was just great to have it back. And all it did was get me fired up. And then I watched Stanford, Hawaii. I watched Kansas and whoever the heck they play. Fresno State. It just got me fired up for the season. So, yeah, I was happy it was back yesterday.
Yeah, I watched the entirety of Iowa State, Kansas State. Loved it. It was an exciting game. Those are 2 good teams. Those aren't teams that I think have a chance to do things like win a national championship. I would not be surprised at all to see Iowa State win the Big 12. I think yesterday's game is a game that's going to help launch them into Big 12 contention as a quality win. I think both Iowa State and Kansas State are going to beat good teams this year, 2 good quarterbacks. The quarterback matchup was fun, and I do think Rocco Becht was just slightly better than Avery Johnson yesterday. And then, of course, Avery Johnson's father gets in the physical altercation when the game's over, which makes
with his brother.
With
Avery Johnson's brother.
With Avery Johnson's older brother. And it just makes that even more fascinating. They're going to have to be answering questions about that in the Little Apple this week.
I respect it. That is an SEC level type thing to do. Like, Hey,
It's
what happened at the game?
the European soccer stadium. I thought they were just acting like European soccer fans.
Well, it's like, what happened at the game? Well, my starting quarterback's father got in a fight with his oldest son, and it was just embarrassing. And somebody go, no, I would just want to know what the score was. And he's like, well, this was actually more fun. The fight.
I saw a video of the fight and only later found out that was Avery Johnson's dad.
Yeah. I thought it was just a fight too at first. I think everybody did.
The other games, I watched Kansas specifically to watch Emmanuel Henderson and Jaleel Hurley, who both played well. They both played well, especially Eman. They played well. They're significant players on this Kansas team, so that's kind of fun. Every time Kansas is on, you'll be watching those Alabama guys. Justice Finkley, Trustful product that did sign with Texas he is a starting defensive end for them. Dylan Brooks is on that team, but I didn't see him out there. I don't think he plays very much. But boy, what a 5-star that just didn't really ever play up to that level, right, at Auburn or now at Kansas. But and then finally last night I stayed up all to the end to watch Stanford and Hawaii, and boy, Andrew Luck. Good luck, Andrew. Good luck. He's got Stanford's just. I mean, I could tell in the first quarter just watching them play. And I'm like, oof.
They had one of those interceptions where the quarterback like sees somebody coming and he just goes, and he.
I'll be shocked.
And he threw it with no zip at all. And the guy, you rarely see this. The guy was 4 feet away from him and intercepted it by jumping up and catch it. That's how slowly the ball was moving, that he was able to catch up. He sort of tapped it and then got an interception. And I think he was so surprised he sort of tripped up on himself. It would have been a heck of a play, but I was thinking like a better team returns that for a touchdown. And I think that's sort of Hawaii. Like Hawaii's just good enough to beat Stanford. Yeah.
And Stanford's probably the worst team in the ACC. I'll be a little surprised based on the Stanford I saw last night if they aren't the worst team in the ACC and one of the worst Power 4 teams. They have an interim head coach. They will be literally rebuilding when they hire a new head coach in December, literally from the ground up.
Like, y'all, we got to get – hey, you want to build a new stadium? No, we got to start with new cleats and helmets and and players.
Yeah, they'll need new footballs.
We need to tell everybody about FanDuel. Hey, look, man, season's kicked off. Time to get into your FanDuel mode. Look, August 26th, that's officially FanDuel Features Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, your Rugiet ready hadn't even worn off yet. For 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Look, go take a flyer on who you think is going to be the NFL MVP. Maybe Derrick Henry, maybe Tua Tagovailoa in a long shot. Go ahead, go get you some. Visit FanDuel, the FanDuel app today, and start planning your futures bets right now, because Futures Day is one day, and it's one day only, and that's August 26th. FanDuel, that's where you play your game, homie. Got to tell everybody one more thing. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and to make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. That's lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And you can also find the link in show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Were you saying something?
No.
Where did I was hearing somebody saying something. All right. So let me start off. Oh, well, Jimmy, I called the what game did I call? Oh, shoot. Maplesville and Fife on Friday night in Crampton Bowl. And it was great. Really had fun with it. And the Nehemiah McCary is his name. That is who Rivals on 3 has said is the number 1 linebacker for 2028. Now he's a 10th grader. Alabama has offered him. He's built a little different than your average 1A 10th grader. There's no doubt about it. I think he's got a lot of potential. Do I think he's the number one linebacker in the country? I hadn't seen all the other linebackers. My guess is there will be some linebackers that pass him in the rankings because they play for larger classifications in whatever state. And unless he's able to, he's going to need to, hit the weights a little bit more and all that. And we just don't know how people are going to grow. But I'll say this, I like him a lot. And if Alabama were to get him, you dang right I'd be happy. I just think he's got a ton of potential. He did more, I thought, as a running back. He ended up with just under 100 yards. But Maplesville destroyed Fife, destroyed them, which is shocking. Shocking. Now, Maplesville has a kid, his name is Jediah Works. Now, he's a junior. And look, he runs as hard as anybody you'll ever see. You just don't bring him down with one tackle. And his legs never stop moving. McCary you can tell he's the bell cow. He's the dude. He's the dude on the team. There is no doubt. But, and defensively too, he made some nice plays defensively. But when Works comes in, it's like, oh, McCary's out. And then Works comes in, you realize you can't tackle him by yourself. And then you're like, finally, he's going out. And they got this kid named Roman Hall, I think, that's a speed back, and you can't touch him. So, I mean, it was wild to see that. But here's something I want everybody to see. And let me warn you, I don't know about the volume because I don't know how to do this. But just watch this for a second. Then I'm going to wax poetic.
Volume for me, Randy's good. And then we'll try fade here in a little bit. High snap here on third down. Keys to Dupree going to dump it out to Sedarian Morgan. 15, 20, 25,
Watch out.
30, 35, 40,
Watch out.
45 midfield.
Here he goes.
45, 40,
Let's go.
45,
He's a 5-star.
30,
He's the best player.
10, he's gone. Sedarian Morgan. Touchdown, Wildcats. Little screen pass to the right on 3rd and 17. It's Sedarian Morgan.
All right, that was my buddy Brett Pritchard on the play-by-play, and Randy Lee does the color for the BRHS Wildcats, and he was the one talking about the 5-star, and it's really great to see. I was watching that game on the NFHS network as I was calling the other game, and when he made that play, Jimmy, the first thing I thought of, I was like, everybody's going to say that's Julio Jones-esque, and I get it. You know who he reminded me of, Sedarian Morgan running there? Matt Jones, the former quarterback at Arkansas, who was long and lean. And you're like, he's not running very fast, but each stride was 5 yards. So it didn't matter. I mean, he's running fast. It just doesn't look that way. Sedarian Morgan is that dude. He's that dude. He had 8 catches for 177 yards and a touchdown. And I also believe in the fourth quarter, he didn't touch the ball. Now, give Opelika credit for that. And Opelika ultimately won the game. But 7A versus 6A, Opelika being 7A. But let me tell y'all, Sedarian, CD Morgan, dude, certified.
Yeah, you'd brought it up, previously when you were just talking about the Maplesville kids, the 1A kids. What I want to point out is, the difference in classification. What's so impressive about that highlight of the CD Morgan, the big play, is that's Opelika. I mean, that's Opelika. Yeah. The Opelika's defense has multiple kids on it that are going to play college football. That's what makes the Maplesville evaluation so difficult. But hey, when you're talking these 6A, 7A kids, it gets a little easier because you're competing against really good athletes. And the fact that CD Morgan can make Opelika's defense look like that explains why every school in the country, including Alabama, wanted CD Morgan, and Alabama's where he's going to play. And you can tell there won't be a lot of mystery with him. He's going to be good. I think the bust factor with CD Morgan is incredibly low. Yeah. He's going to be good.
What stood out to me too, so Friday night, Owen Cabell, right? Am I saying that?
Owen Cabell. I believe it's Owen Cabell. Yeah, from Nashville.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm saying that right, like, because I'm mispronouncing Crowell all the time. Why not screw this one up too? Owen Cabell, and then Brian Williams, the other wide receiver, committed to Alabama out of Florida, and Cabell obviously out of Tennessee. They both had big nights. They each had their own touchdowns. And if you watch those highlights, I don't have the other highlights. I mean, this one I don't mind playing for you because I know that my buddies took that shot. So, and I appreciate they're letting me use it. but I don't know if I can use the other video on here. So I'm not going to show them, but you can find it anywhere on Twitter. And I'm sure I probably can use it, and I will start eventually. But you need to go check those out. And the one thing that'll jump out to you, and Jimmy and I mentioned this the moment that these guys committed, they're all big. These are not, this isn't Squirrel White dudes. And no offense to Squirrel White, he's a good player. I'm just saying these aren't Tyrone Prothros. These aren't, David Palmers. These dudes, look, you remember back when Stanford was good, they had a bunch of volleyball players playing wide receiver that were all roughly 6'4" to 6'6". They weren't necessarily the fastest dudes, but you threw it up and they went and got it. The thing with these guys, they're the tallest dudes and they're the fastest dudes.
Yeah, DeBoer prefers taller receivers. I think that's one of the things he's wanted at Alabama, and that's what they're recruiting. Just keep in mind, though, that it's not like a hard line rule. If there's a smaller guy who is exceptionally gifted, they're going to want that guy too.
Yeah.
And really what I'm talking about is Latsir Brooks, is a guy they're very excited about. He's a small wide receiver, but he's an extremely adept playmaker, very exciting with the ball in his hand. So they're not going to take only big receivers, but the fact that in this recruiting class, the C.D. Morgan, Owen Cabell, and Brian Williams group, they clearly wanted to get bigger, and that's pretty exciting that they're getting what they want.
All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.